And we're ready to go. So once again, my name is Cindy Hambrick, and this is Keira's Lollipop Lesson 2. And on Tuesday, I posted a completely confusing description of how to assemble the front and the back. And the reason it was confusing is because, well, I didn't even notice it until like I had done 14 of the lollipops. And then I went, oh, it makes a difference if you accidentally flip your back one way or the other. So what I was talking about was the way that the swirl, if you lay it out, let me see. If you've got your back, I did my back in purple and my front in red so that you can tell which one's the back and which one's the front. And so if your swirls are going the same way when you lay them out, and remember, you're going to put our lollipop stand in between these. And so the front, and then the part you'll be seeing will be back here, and this will be against the lollipop stand. So if you lay them out like this, where the swirls are going the same way, what that's going to do is when you put it together, your swirl will come up, and then you'll have where you connect it, and then it'll kind of make a V and come back down. Okay, so that's one way. Now, if you flip it to where your swirls are going the opposite direction, your front's going this way, but the back is going this way, then what that will accomplish is the swirl coming up, you get to where you connect them, and then it keeps going around kind of like in the same direction. Now, someone this morning pointed out that if it were a real lollipop, a real candy, this would be the correct way to do it because it would be the same on the front and the back. I'm going to give you guys a hint. You're never going to be able to see the front and the back at the same time. So honestly and truthfully, it doesn't really matter. I didn't even notice it, like I said, till after I'd made like 14 of them, and then I saw the difference. But for those of you who worry about that kind of stuff, if what you need to do then is lay it out, decide which way appeals to you the best, and then stitch it together that way. Now, before you stitch it together, make sure you're going to insert your lollipop stand in there, because that's what makes the lollipop. Otherwise, you're going to have a peppermint. Okay, so, but for the purposes of this demonstration, I'm not going to have it in there. So I did these samples in some size 8 beads, and I got my needle caught on my other thread. There we go. I did them in size 8 beads so that you guys will be able to see what I'm doing. And I'm going to move over to the bead pad. Okay. So what I'm going to do, we're going to start with the zipping it together. So your thread should be exiting that M bead that you add, that first M bead you added on the front side only, the extra row of, what was it, 31? I think so. All right. And then your gold beads were here. Now, of course, mine are black, so you'll be able to see them better. So you're going to line up those gold beads so that they line up nice and square like that. They're on top of each other, and you will notice that the beads from the front and the beads from the back will mesh together like a like a zipper. Okay, so I'm going to show you how I zip things together. And how about I don't hit the camera? There we go. So you're going to go from the front to the back without adding a bead, and I just very lightly stitch those together. I don't pull them together yet. I just I'm just putting my thread in there, and I do maybe 4 of the front parts and 4 of the back parts. And on this one, I'm using a double thread because I'm using such big beads. However, when I zip things together, I use a double thread because it's stronger, and you're going to be pulling on that thread, and you want your zipping to stay together. So if you want to use a double thread, that's probably a good idea. So after I do like 4 on top, 4 on the bottom, then I do pull gently. This is the only time you get to bead tight on these lollipops, or pull tight. And that just pulls all those beads together real nice. So I'm going to show you that again. Just go top down to the bottom. I'm not even pulling tight yet. It doesn't matter. I mean, 4 or 5 sections, however, whatever you're comfortable with. And then when you pull tight, those are all just going to pull in all nice and pretty together. Okay, does that make sense? So one more time, and then I won't bore you with it anymore. One, up and down. Now, one thing, okay, let's see. Put this in here. Pull together, and they all pull together very nice. Now see what a nice little edging we're getting here? I pulled those beads all together, and it's creating such a nice little edging there. Now, because I made these with such large beads, I had to stop when I got to where I put 4 of the gold beads in instead of 5, because this thing was getting way too big. And I'm thinking to myself, what on earth am I going to do with something that big? It makes a very lovely coaster for your co-pop. What's a better way of doing that? There, see, like that. So if you want, and I'm going to tell you what, using those large beads, this went together so fast. I did like this whole thing in about an hour, and it makes such a pretty little coaster. And I decided, you know, if I want to make some of those as Christmas presents, they would be just as cute as could be. You could make 2 of them and put something like cork or something in the middle and stitch them together. Or you could just make 1 and glue the cork on the back, or you could even glue bead mat on the back if you want, or nothing at all, just leave it plain. Anyway, very cute, if I may say so myself. Like I said, no one's prouder of Cindy than Cindy. Okay, now I'm not going to make you guys suffer through me stitching that whole thing together, so I'm going to pretend like now I'm all the way back around almost. Let me see. I know I'm off this. Okay, there we go. Let's get back on the. Okay, that's where I want to be. And I'm finishing up stitching this thing all the way around. Catching my thread on everything along the way. All right. So we've gotten all the way around. Pull tight, pull that all together. Now we're going to add the ruffle. So you want to thread on over, just very lightly and carefully, till you're exiting the gold bead on the front. Okay. Now, doing the ruffle. The ruffle is a herringbone stitch. And what a herringbone stitch is putting on 2 beads at the same time. So I'm going to do these, the first set in orange and the second set in blue so that you can see the difference in them. Okay, you're exiting your first gold bead. So the directions instruct you to put on 2 white beads at the same time, go into the next gold bead on the front of your work. And they're just going to sit in there really nicely, just like when you do an increase. 2 more, you're going to do that 4 times, just going from gold bead to gold bead in the front. Of course, mine I'm only going to do 3 because I stopped early. All right, to that last gold bead there at the end. Now what you're going to do is you're going to put one that's going to, a set of them that's going to kind of sit on your fold. So you're going from the front gold bead to the back gold bead. You put in your 2, and then your 2 across the back of your lollipop. 2, well, 4 of them across there. Sorry about that. Okay. Now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to turn our corner, and on the seam that we've stitched it together, we're going to go from the back gold one to the front gold one, enter just the gold one. Okay, put your 2 on. Now it's time to step up. We have to step up to the next row and do our next row of herringbone. So we're just going to thread through the very first bead of the 2 bead set. And now we're ready to put on our next row of herringbone. So move over to the orange beads. Okay, so pick up 2 beads on your needle. Does that look like 2 beads? There we go. And you're going to go into the second white bead of your 2 bead set. Now in herringbone, you've got to come over to your next set of herringbone, so you just thread right through the first white bead of your 2 bead set, pick up 2 more, thread through the second of the 2 bead set. Make sure those are sitting in there nice and pretty. Come on. There you go. And now we need to move over to our next herringbone. Add 2 more. And we're going to do this all the way around. Go down and then up. And make sure they sit, they don't cross over. Because mine, okay, mine are crossing over. There we go. Straighten them up. 2 in this one. Oh, at this point, you can go, when you start your herringbone, go ahead and go back to 1 thread. I'm just going to use 2 threads because I'm using such big beads. But when you do the herringbone, I would just use 1 thread. Only use the double thread when you're putting the seam together. Okay. So we're almost around. And I want to show you guys how to step up. There's a difference between moving over to the next herringbone and stepping up to the next level. So I want to show you all the step up. Okay, I'm putting in my last set of 2, and it's on that little corner seam. Picking up 2, going through the second W of the 2W set. Okay, Now we need to step up to the next level. And just like all other peyote stitching, you have to go through 2 beads to step up. So you're going to go through the first W, and then you're going to thread through that next level 1. Okay, so you will go through, don't get caught. There we go. So when you step up to the next level of the herringbone, you go through the 2 beads. That's your step up. So then you're going to go and you'll add another round. And a lot of people can do this in 2 or in 1 fluid motion. They'll add the 2 and then go ahead and come down and pick up the first bead of the next one. It's kind of like doing the step up in 1 fluid motion. Once you get good enough, if you're comfortable with that, that's fine. I want to get around quickly so I can show you the step up again and then show you adding them in the middle. If I end up having enough thread. Hold out, thread. But until you get comfortable with the herringbone stitch, I would do this part in 2 steps, just so you get to where you understand what you're doing. Okay, so we're going to go down in the second bead, and then we're going to step up, and we're going to step up through 2 beads. Because we're stepping up to our next level. And I don't remember how many rows I have you go on herringbone, but eventually I'm going to have you add 1. We want the little ruffle to start flaring out a little bit more. So I'm going to have you add a bead where we would normally thread through this first bead without adding 1. We're going to go ahead and add 1. And what that's going to do is add more space in there. It acts like a increase, and it's going to make that ruffle start to go flare out and create that really cute little ruffle there. Okay, so that's the herringbone. I'm going to put that to the side, and we're going to talk about adding the, where's my other little sample piece? There we go, adding the little bow. Now, I did notice that Janet just tied a ribbon around hers, and it was really cute, very cute in fact. So let me cut this off there. But if you want the little bead it ribbon, that is on page 21, starting on page 21. 18 through 20 is the herringbone, 21 is your little bow. Okay, so you're going to, you've got all your gold beads. You've got to decide, do you want your ribbon to hang off to the side? Do you want it smack in the middle? Yours can be in the middle because you have 5 gold beads. I only have 4, so I would have to finagle it to get it to be in the middle. But you decide where you want your ribbon to be. And so pick a gold bead. I did mine in purple so that you guys could see it better. All right, so you're going to exit here. You're going to string on 30. You're going to string on 30 of the main beads, and what you're going to do is just circle around the lollipop and come out back to where you were, and that's just going to cover up all those gold beads so that you don't see them. The gold beads are really just acting as a marker so you'll know where to do your herringbone stitches. So you'll go back in, you'll string on those 30 and then enter back into that gold bead. Okay, so now you've got your 2 little ties that are hanging down on either side. So you're going to just pick up, it says 10 of the main color beads, and then a white bead. I'm not going to pick up 10 of them. Okay, you're going to skip the white bead and thread up through all the M beads, okay? And that's going to create that little tail that's going to hang down all nice and cute. Now, because we were exiting our gold bead, I know it's got a mess of threads here. We exited this way. We want to go back in on the same side of that bead. And what that's going to do is force this little tail to hang off to the left. If you want something to hang in the middle, then what we would have done was gone into the bead the exact same way we exited it. We're doing it opposite. We're exiting and then entering the same hole. That forces it to lay off to the side. Okay, we're going to do that again on the other side. So I've exited it over here to the right and exited it. It's getting more and more syllables for some reason. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And our white one, we're going to skip the white one and come back up through all the main color ones. And because we exited on the right side, we're going to enter on the right side again. And that's going to have that little tail hang very nicely on the right side. I'm going to cut away some of these threads. And now for the little loopy bow part, just string on 15 of your main color beads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Once again, we want this little loop to be on the left side. So we're going to enter that bead. I'm trying to do this left-handed. Okay, that's just dumb. I'm going to do it right-handed. Back through there. Oops. Come on. There we go. See, our loop is now on the left side. String on our 15 over here on the right side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Skip a few, 15. And exit the bead on the right hand side of it. I'm getting a lot of thread in there. Let's see. There we go. So then you got cute little bow. And I do have diagrams on page 21 that you can see that being done. Let's turn them there. So cute. Okay, let's see. Is there anything else that I think we were just doing ruffle, zip and ruffle today. So that will be the end of the demo. Let me